Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for To Your Eternity, chapters 159.2 through 160.3. Thanks to the whole whatever the fuck's been going on between Kodansha and Crunchyroll, we have not had a chapter in a bit over a month, and it's time for a big ol' catch-up time. So we have 4 chapters. This will be a long video, I'm willing to bet. I'll try to move through them relatively quickly because it's late and I have work in the morning and I don't want to be up too late getting this video out. But yeah, when we last left our heroes, pieces sort of started to fall over the town in the aftermath of the whole multi-pronged incident of the last several months. There's some worry over like the cops believing that the whole thing was a prank set up by the Funa gang and the occult club. But everything is going mostly fine, though the chapter does end on a big old party, not like a dinner slash strategy meeting slash party to get them all out of jail. We also have some bits with Satoru, as he comments on, we had a little bit of an insight on how he's changed since he was like an immortal god. How in the past he would have not hesitated to erase people's memories at all, but now he does not want to do anything that could possibly injure their Phi. So that's all interesting. But it does end on just like the operation stay out of the slammer scene. It was just really sweet and cute and fun. But yeah, with that said, let's dive right on into 159.2, Proof of Peace Part 2. And we open on like a full-on cover page, which is not normal, of Fushi and Satoru walking along the side of the road in the sunset. Their shadows stretching over the road. It's a nice little picture, but it's not what we normally see from the series. And we open with Izumi and Mizuha. And so this is sometime after the dinner, because she was there for that. Welcome home, Mizuha. How was school? Mizuha tells her, good. I talked a lot with my friends. What about you, Mom? You went to Grandpa's, didn't you? Okay. Okay, so... Oh, right, because Grandpa's still in the hospital. I was like, you know, that seemed to say something because Izumi fucking hated her father for a long time, but maybe there's progress being made there. Izumi says, yes, it looks like it didn't hit anything important on the way through, so we'll just have to keep an eye on him for the time being. I guess the it is the bullet. It's weird to like not give that pronoun an antecedent, but okay. And Mizuha comments, really? That's great. And then she questions, have you forgiven Grandpa already? And Izumi, in response to, you know, all of the sort of cult abuse she experienced as a child, no, but I'll work towards forgiving him, no matter how long it takes. I feel like my issue with that is that we didn't really spend enough time with the grandpa, like, actually dealing with the fact that he was a cult leader and, like, showing any sort of sympathy for everything that happened with Izumi as a child. But, like, maybe it's a sign that, like, the forgiveness is better for Izumi or something. And then the revived Papa Mizuha comes in. Did you change your walls, Mizuha? You took down your awards? We see in place of the awards, there's a bunch of photographs of, I think this is the album that Yuki gave her. The one that was full of pictures of her and Izumi. Yes, this is what I want to show off. Proof of our love. And we see a little like baby Mizuha and like Izumi and Papa Mizuha when they were still like young and full of life, and Izumi didn't know she had married another fucking cultist. Because again, that was also kind of brushed under the table. I don't know. And then as her parents acknowledged all that, Mizuha looks off to the side. Oh, look, Papa, Mama, as she points out the window. Isn't the moon huge tonight? And Papa Mizuha looks out. Wow, it really is. And Izumi, we see her like drying her eyes at the photos and turns to look at it and smiles. It's just a really cute bit. You know, as much as some of my weird feelings around the Mizuha family as a whole, Izumi as a character has really worked for me. But Izumi asked Mizuha, what do you think, Mizuha? How do you feel right now? And Mizuha doesn't really seem to see any like significance in that question, and she just answers, okay, I guess? Just normal. And Izumi smiles, oh, then that's perfect. And they all have this little moment out on the balcony. And then we cut back to Satoru and Fushi at the orphanage. As Sumika, like, berates him. Welcome home, Satoru. You're late. It's morning. Has he been out all night? Like, what the fuck was he doing this whole time? But Fushi, like, tries to defend him. I walked him here, so what's the big deal? Now I'm gonna be late for school. Fushi, don't you have a spare body at school at all times? Isn't that part of your abilities? Like we saw the black hair Fushi last chapter. So, like, he still has that body around. But Sumika gets on to him. Don't you sass me. I can report you anytime. For what? I guess maybe, like, it seems like a kidnapping case. But Fushi then realizes, oh, right, Satoru. Thanks for helping Yuki. I was relieved to see him acting like his usual self yesterday. But Satoru's kind of confused. What are you talking about? And Fushi goes on, about taking out the knockers he drank? I thought you took care of that. And Satoru gives this awkward little, like, look away. Oh, that? He refused. Okay. So Yuki is once again, perhaps foolishly, but once again putting his money where his fucking mouth is in the whole we can have peace with the knockers. Alright. And then I believe this is the tall one. I think it's Tamaki, right? No, Senba's the tall one. Right? Do I have that right? Fuck, let me see if I have that right. Occult Club to your eternity. Thank you, Google, for all your help. Yeah, Senba's the tall one. So Senba asks, what are you doing, Vice President? And Yuki tells him, I'm checking the town to make sure nothing's going on. And Senba has this, like, paper for him. We completed the draft for this month's monthly occult this month's monthly occult club dispatch. God, that's weirdly hard to say. But Yuki tells him, great work. That was fast. And Senba questions, are you sure we should write all this? Yes. Oh, he's about to come clean about the entire thing with the knockers. And then we see the Funa gang and Yuki and Tonari, not Yuki, Aiko and Tonari and Mizuha back with Tana-sen. And Tana-sensei asks them all, so, did you straighten out your story? And Funa takes like this deep breath and goes on, first, the culprit was a zealous fan of Fushi-kun's who came to school in costume and freaked out when he wasn't here. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think about that zealous fan bit, because, like, Fushi is something of a cult figure in this world, right? So, I mean, maybe the people, like, if someone came to school and looked kind of like a young Jesus, no one would accuse him of actually, and was named Jesus, no one would actually accuse him of being the actual Jesus Christ. So, like, maybe, like, I'm thinking, like, how do the people of this world reckon with the fact that, like, you know, the local demigod is the guy they know? So I never really thought about that before. Might have been brought up at some point. But, like, Fushi was, like, he was at least a devil figure for the Bennett people for a while, and his roots are still around. So, like, it makes sense the legends would still be there. The reason I'm asking all this is the zealous fan of Fushi-kun's, is that our Fushi or the deity Fushi? We know they're the same person, but the actual people in town wouldn't know that. But anyway, I don't know. Aiko then chimes in, they poisoned the water tank. And Tana-sen questions, how do you know this? And Funa goes on, they said so, after everyone got knocked out. What was their entire motive? And then this is, Saki. They had something against the school, too. And Tana's getting more and more confused. Now Tonari-san shot them with a bow. And Nagisa chimes in, the culprit was so nutty they were wearing an armored vest, so they didn't die. And then Kasabe just chimes in. So we set them on fire, blew them up, all kinds of stuff, until they finally died. We don't regret it. And Tana asked the real question for, like, a random middle school teacher. Hang on a second. Why were you so intent on killing them? And Aiko just, like, slams her fist on the desk. Well, we thought everyone, like, weeping. We thought everyone was dead. We had to avenge you. And Kasabe makes a big show of comforting Aiko. It's all right. But Tana is just like, I seem to recall Tonari-san moving out that bow before everyone passed out. But then Mizuha chimes in. We were warned beforehand. The culprit was well known as a lunatic among Fushi's fans. We knew they'd pull something like this eventually. So that definitely implies that the zealous fan of Fushi-kun is referring to the student Fushi, which is weird because I don't think it's really been established that like the regular guy Fushi like has a fan club or anything. I don't know. It's a weird little thing. Anyway, Mizuha goes on. That's why Aoki-kun and the others came to my house that day to help protect Fushi-kun. Because of course Tana does not know they weren't at her house, they were in the sewers, but okay. And Tana just questions some more. I see. Then where did that bow come from? She borrowed it from the archery club. And Tana is not believing that. That didn't look like the bows they used in the archery club. And Tonari just tells her, it was from a member's private collection. Could you bring them here? They're an alumnus. Bring them here. And then Bai comes in. Hello, I'm an alumnus. That's not gonna work, Bon, I'm sorry. Especially because Tana, like, does not fall for this at all. You're that janitor, aren't you? And I saw you on TV yesterday. You act like an outside observer, but you're definitely involved. Right, because, like, you know, Bon is a public figure. He's around all the time. So, like, people would know if he went to this school. But Bon just tells her, but of course, I am Bunchy and Nicoli La Tasty Pichu Ravis. Have an autograph. And also, again, like, back on the whole, what do people know about the Immortals thing? Because, like, Bon, you know, he was never king of Uralis, but he was a central figure in the Siege of Renrir, and, like, you know, there would at least be some history scholars who were like, wait a second, that guy was alive 500 years ago. He was a prominent figure 500 years ago. How is he still alive? Because he's on TV all the time. There are some weird things in this series world building. Generally, I just think that the Renril saga never really clicked for me, so I'm okay with ignoring all that because I just didn't like it. But anyway, we see Tana like look at the autograph. There's just a bunch of hearts and some squiggles. As Bon is like so confident he's going to be over the moon by it. And she just grabs him by the ear. Listen, you, aren't you ashamed of yourself? I don't know what you're hiding. What are you brainwashing these children for? And Bon just begs, ow, 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 my precious ear! You misunderstood, madam. You're going to stretch my ear right off. Then tell me the truth right now. Actually, first explain that ridiculous name. It's my real name. I'm the proud former Prince of Uralis. Oh, not so hard. Which, like, you know, his story is falling apart in his hands. He can't really be an alum of this middle school and the Prince of Uralis. Also, Uralis is still a country, right? That has not dissolved. But she does not believe this. Ha! What are you saying? And then someone grabs her hand. Wait, Sensei! And it's Yuki, who's interrupted the whole situation. And Tana reacts, Aoki-kun? And he hands her the monthly occult thing. That's enough, everyone. We'll just tell the truth. I wrote down everything that happened that day right here. Like, I think I said that part out loud, right? That, the Occult Club dispatch was going to be, you know, revealing everything to the world. And the girls all react, Yuki-kun. And Tana reads it, what? The true culprits were countless extraterrestrials called Knockers? Also, again, what do people know about the Knockers and the Renrir incident? Like, was that recorded in history? I don't know. And Tana looks up at him. Aoki-kun, she goes on the attack to him now. Don't have time to put up with more of your occult nonsense! And now Bon and Yuki are both screaming, ow, 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 ow! And Yuki goes on, please believe me, Sensei. Unless we accept the truth, these unidentified life forms will remain unidentified life forms. Please allow the Occult Research Club dishonor. Allow us to take this step toward mutual understanding with extraterrestrial life forms. Which of course ties into his decision to not get rid of the Knockers. We see Fushi listening in from outside as he just reacts, Yuki. And that's where this chapter ends, but we still have 3 more. So I'll try to dig into them all together at the end, but let's just dive right on into 160.1, or just regular 160, Coexistence Part 1. And we see, after, some time has passed since that incident, and we have sort of a Fushi inner monologue. It's been almost a week since Mizuha came back. I'd like to say that peace has returned, but reality isn't that simple. There have been no developments on the expulsion or arrest front. It looks like Bond's foundation will take care of things if it comes down to it. But we discovered a more pressing issue anyway. That Yuki refused the removal of the knocker inside him. So yeah, it seems like we're sort of gonna ignore all the antics from the previous chapter. We're just gonna focus on the bigger deal with Yuki. If the mood strikes, it can take over his body or kill him. His life's in danger. But when I ask why, Yuki just tells them coexistence. Again, he has this theme. His goal is genuine coexistence with otherworldly beings, and his trust in the Guardian Knocker has allowed him to become the literal symbol of that. Anyway, coexistence is all he says. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not asking him to kill it, just to let us remove it from his body. According to the Man in Black, even after the leader knockers vanish, the other ones are still here. So things have kind of changed and kind of haven't. The knockers are still just around. And we see, back around what they were doing around the Mamori stuff, with Fushi and Bon and Satoru and Yuki, as Satoru tells the group, judging from the passersby, their numbers probably haven't dropped by even 10%. And Bon comments, we may have told them to stop their invasion, but that was only to one knocker. I suppose the decision is really with each individual. I wonder if there will be more knockers who use their human bodies for evil. But Yuki is not really having this sort of framing the knockers as evil thing. You can say the same of people, Bon-san. There are murderers, but most people aren't. You gotta focus on them. If you only think about the bad knockers, it'll never end. And Bon comments, you're right, Yuki. I don't dislike that way of thinking. And we cut back to Fushi's little inner monologue. Yuki believes that coexisting with the knockers is peace. And Bon goes on, you aren't simply acting up because your teacher didn't believe you, are you? No, Bon-san, I may be acting up, but that's how I really feel. I don't really see what Yuki is doing as acting up at all. That's an interesting word choice for promoting peace. Anyway, Yuki believes that coexisting with the knockers is peace, but why? And Yuki goes on, I don't care whether it's in a magazine or on TV or what. I just want to tell the world about knockers. I want to present their good points to the world. If the world accepts them, I know they'll open their hearts to us too. But I don't know, it feels like a bit of, I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this, because it kind of feels like we're back to the beginning with the whole what to do with the knockers. And I feel like Fushi himself has kind of said that here, that we're still dealing with, do we get rid of the knockers or don't we? What are sort of the ramifications of that? Because every knocker we've seen is especially in the present era, can only really exist by possessing people, by removing the freedom of others. Can coexistence work that way? I don't know. And Bond sort of questions Yuki on that point. Then you agree with controlling people's bodies the way they do? And Yuki, that sort of stops him for a second. I just think it's too early to decide that yet. First, we need to understand them. And then someone calls over to them. Hey, over here! Hirotoshi. I fucking hate that guy. Fucking hate Hirotoshi. And Yuki tells the group, it's hard to talk about knockers outside, right? So we're gonna borrow Hirotoshi's room. Hirotoshi has, shaved his head, for one thing. And comments, I finally moved out recently, like I've been wanting to. Here. So maybe that means he's improved or something? Please come in. And we see it's a total pigsty, for one thing. And there's a little kid in the room with, Hirotoshi, what you doing? I don't trust you around children. Okay. And Fushi sort of comments, the Man in Black, and... Oh, and this is one of the kids in the orphanage, I think, who comments, the fully merged Michi, who is, I guess, possessed by a knocker. And Yuki comments, I asked them here, so we could talk about knockers. And he goes up to the Michi knocker, I don't want us to be enemies. That's why I want to understand you. Will you start from the beginning? And Hirotoshi lays out some like snacks for the group. I also should have noticed earlier, Mamori is here, so again, more discomfort. But also Hirotoshi has like weird bald patches. Like most of his head is shaved, and there's some parts that are just like fully gone. Like he did a really bad job shaving his head. But anyway, everyone gathers to listen to Michi. And Michi is silent. And Satoru interrupts. On second thought, let's not. Michi is trying to live as a human. But Michi stops Satoru. No, I'll tell them. At first, everyone just told me that there were bad guys. We were going to go get them. Wait, what's he talking about? Like who? What? Huh? So, is this some sort of like at the beginning, is this some cosmic dawn of the knockers sort of thing? Is that what we're getting here? I don't know. It's a weird little thing for Michi here. The start, I didn't know why everyone was doing that, but I learned quick. They said our comrades were trapped inside these puppets, and that when they came back to us, they had learned these feelings called pain and suffering. So we had to save them. So this is sort of where the Knocker's belief that life is pain and that we must... Like, we're seeing this from a Knocker perspective, but, like, I don't know. There's something just slightly off about it. I can't quite work out what it is. Then, I went down, too, to this place called Renril, but I got taken out fast. So this ties into the Siege of Renril. Okay, so we're getting a bit more... So, like, yeah, this is early series, when this part happened to them. After that, I stayed up above. But then everyone told me that if I got small, they wouldn't be able to get me. So I turned small. And Fushi gets to the question I've been kind of wondering. Who is everyone? Everyone is everyone. Like me. But there was one Knocker among us that knew a lot about humans. And we all listened to them. Oh, that's the Guardian Knocker. As Fushi picks up on that. The Knocker from the Guardian's leaders. And Satoru comments, most likely. And Michi goes on. They said, we were going to try to coexist. So we were supposed to do our best to live based on the rules of human society. And Fushi is not quite buying this. Wait, they didn't tell you what was going to happen after this coexistence? They're trying to get our guards down by looking harmless, so... And Bon holds Fushi back. Now, settle down, Fushi. And the kid goes on. We would live inside everyone, keeping at it, taking our time, and then... That's it. That's all I heard. Okay. So this still feels a little like I'm still not quite following what the Knockers are, what their goal is here. So, like I'm trying to make it. I'm trying to. I think what we're sort of seeing here is that the Knockers are so inhuman in the ways they think. But like even when Michi is sitting here explaining all of their plans. I just can't quite work, like, you know, what do they mean by coexist? What do they mean by supposed to do our best? Because, like, everything they were doing was killing people, you know? That's their goal. That's what they do. They get in people's bodies and they kill them. Like, that's what the takeover plan, that's what taking over a body does. They die. And, like, I don't know, maybe everyone could live with this sort of one Knocker, not, you know, this sort of, like, half-alive, half-dead thing that, like, Mizuha had going on in the early days and Funa had going on for a while. But I don't know. Taking our time, and then that's it. So that does imply there was a plan. They would infect the entire population. I don't know. Here's a thought. It might be way off base. But what if the one that knew a lot about humans wasn't the Guardian Knocker? What if it was the Papa Mizuha Knocker? What if there was something, you know, the Guardian Knocker maybe desired coexistence on some level, but the Papa Mizuha Knocker is, you know, seems much more malicious than the Guardian Knocker. I don't know. It's a lot to deal with. And then Hirotoshi questions, if every life form on Earth was replaced with Knockers, no more Phi would get trapped. So they'd call that mission accomplished? Was that it? And Michi just comments, I don't know. But Yuki, so this was before Yuki wakes up at the start of the present era, because Yuki, or before Fushi wakes up, because Yuki goes on, but Fushi awakened. Fushi can bring back the dead. The knocker inside Momori-chan tried to eliminate Fushi, but it couldn't. And Bon comments, so next he went after Boy Black, but that didn't work either. And Fushi tells Michi, your leader, the Mizuha knocker, is gone, but her father's knocker said it wasn't finished. We know for a fact they're planning something else. So right now, we gotta find what we can do. And Michi just tells them, all we can do now is figure out how we should live the rest of our lives. For me, that is to become Michi, for Sumika and Tomori. And Yuki comments, you want to live quietly, right? And Bon questions, you no longer care about your previous objective? I was surprised when I entered Michi's body as well. When those two smiled at me, it felt like a new emotion was born. And we see like an image of, oh right, I vaguely remember this one who was like born as a baby. He came in as a baby, right? We learned this I think before the Momori stuff. And Michi tells them, for now, I simply want to protect this feeling, even if it does come with pain. And everyone sort of takes that in. Yuki is A-okay with it. You know, he is all for coexistence, cohabitation, and trust and faith. I want to help with that. I want to make it easier for you all to live. Let's cooperate, Michi-chan. And Michi is sort of shocked and then smiles. Okay. And Fushi is kind of shocked at the way this conversation has gone. And then we cut to that night for the end of the chapter. And I think this is going to be the last chapter of the night. I'm kind of tired, and it's hot in here, and I'm just... It's a hot, sweaty mess over here in Chicago right now. I'm jealous of Yuki. He knows what he wants to do, what he should do. And Satoru questions, yes, I understand those ideals of his, but I don't know what I can do if things don't go well. But Satoru tells them a needless worry. As long as they have bodies, the knockers, along with everyone else, are under our protection. Huh? What do you mean? And Satoru turns to Fushi. Acquire me, Fushi. Okay, so that's what he wants. We'll find out more about that tomorrow when I do the rest of these chapters, because I am a little dead inside. It's late at night. I'm tired. It's had a long day. I'm just gonna stop with these two chapters here. And there's, they're very different chapters. I'm gonna talk about them one by one, because 159.2 is sort of continuing the more immediate resolution of like the plot of the last 8 or 9 chapters broadly speaking, specifically wrapping up the sort of climax of the whole two-prong the shit we've been in. See why I'm not doing more tonight. I'm just dead tired. We get some more resolution with the Mizuha family. We get a little bit about Yuki and his, the Yuki coexistence thing will tie in much more into 160, which seems to be much more involved in wrapping up and exploring the themes that have been brought up by the whole present era, more than 159.2 is. 159.2, I really do love the final little segment here as everyone tries to make up their excuse for, like, what the fuck happened. And it doesn't work, not even the truth works. But we do get a little bit of, like, Yuki's deep desire for coexistence. That if everyone knows about the knockers, they'll be able to coexist. He has yet to come up with a plan for, like, actually how that would work, because, again, the knockers require human hosts, they require killing people. There's a kind of element of ghoul in that, honestly. And that, like, how do you coexist with people whose very existence... whose very existence is harmful to people. And, like, that is a complicated discussion to have. I don't know. Like, I'm curious how Oima will end up exploring that, because that's a lot of what 160 is about. 159.2 is a bit of plot resolution, a bit of fun antics, but there's only a little bit of, like, the thematic work with that bit with Yuki. But that coexistence theme is the thing in 160 until that last page that we'll explore more of on tomorrow. Because we see a bit more of Yuki's just like refusal to get rid of the knocker in his body, even though that could kill him at any time if it so chooses. And just his general, I will do whatever it takes to get to peace here. And that includes a conversation with the Michi knocker, who I vaguely remember us meeting in the past, but it's been a very long time since we met, so I don't remember if that was pre me starting to do videos for the series. I don't quite remember. But Michi, while I find a lot of the grand plot Michi reveals a little confusing, I'm not quite sure who the "there were bad guys" is meant to be referring to. Is that Fushi and the gang back in the very early series? And maybe the our comrades line is about all people or something. All Phi is the Knocker's comrades, which could mean that maybe the reveal we're building towards is that everyone is in some way a Knocker. I don't know. Are Knockers just solidified Phi? That could be what that line is referring to, though I have no idea, to be fair. But then, we know there is a plan, but that Michi doesn't really care. And, where this part really works is this idea that, Michi is trying to... Michi is the example of Yuki's ideals of coexistence. That's what they are. Michi choosing to live as a human, seeing the love that Sumika and Tamori feel for him, them, I'm not quite sure what Michi's gender is meant to be, but that's not the point. That has awoken something human in them. And that maybe all Knockers can get that humanity, and if so, maybe there really is a chance for peace. The problem, of course, that peace still comes at the loss of the original Michi. Michi died so that this Michi could learn that. But, on one level, that's kind of a what's done is done. But I'm not quite sure people would ever really be on board with that. So I'm hoping Oima does kind of examine that lens. That's why we're spending all this time here dealing with those sorts of... that's why we're not, moving on to the next era anytime soon. Because those are still themes that need deciding. And then, there is this bit with Satoru. I don't know what's going on there. But he wants Fushi to acquire him. So... I thought Satoru wanted to, live a life and then, finally become human. But if Fushi acquires him, he has to die? I guess we'll find out more about that tomorrow, but, for right now, all in all, it's good to be back with Eternity, and even if Eternity is just as weird as it was when I left it. But it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good stuff here, building on that sort of, I really love the shining example of coexistence that Michi could potentially bring, even with all the little warts attached to that idea of coexistence, because, again, that came at the cost of a human life, and I'm curious if most people will, be okay with that. That's a question for another time. For now, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, do whatever makes it happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!